Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pennsylvania Association for College Admission Counseling Keystone Virtual College Exploration. This program is a partnership between PACAC and StriveScan for all Pennsylvania students. My name is Liz Frazzini. I'm the chair of the College Affairs Committee for PACAC, and I'm also a college counselor at Wyoming Seminary. Before we turn it over to Endicott College, I'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. This is a webinar feature of Zoom, so your cameras and mics are muted for the duration of the program. If you do have questions for the panelists, please make sure to enter them in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to your questions throughout the session. Additionally, we have a lot more sessions coming in our program through November 6th. So if you're interested in signing up for additional sessions, please visit our website. That's also where a recording of this session will be posted, and you can find both session registration and recordings at www.pacac.org/virtual. And now I'll turn it over to Endicott College.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I think the best way to get started, and I'll pull this up as I kind of introduce myself real quick. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And I say, I guess for me, afternoon, but welcome. My name is Joe Flynn. I'm an assistant director of admission with the team at Endicott. And currently I work with all of our students from the great state of Pennsylvania. So certainly if you have questions throughout this session, or if things come up later, please don't hesitate to reach on out. I'm kind of that primary point of contact. We had a lot to talk about during this session, so certainly we'll jump right into it. And you are looking at this great shot of campus. Does kind of give you a sense of the size and the scale, certainly, and location, but we'll talk a whole bunch more about that in just a little bit. Let's see. There we go. Just to give everybody kind of a sense of the topics for today, certainly some of the more general ins and outs, a nice welcome to, especially for those of you who are a little less familiar with Endicott. Certainly a whole bunch on the academic side, a lot on the student life side, certainly the admission process, and then of course we'll wrap it up. I like to leave plenty of time for questions as well, and if you do have questions, I don't get to them just yet. I have a habit of saving questions for the end, but I promise I'm going to try to get to everybody. But first off, I suppose, right, a little kind of welcome to Endicott and our area and what exactly is happening and where are we? Located in the great city of Beverly, Massachusetts. And I do mean city. Beverly, just about 40,000 people up on the North Shore. Really cool city. The campus itself is definitely in the more residential area. As far as kind of things go, a lot of really neat houses around us and definitely a quieter part of the city, but very accessible for students. If you take our shuttle from campus to downtown, I mean, when you get to the light, it's red, maybe 5 minutes, but otherwise even quicker, a mile and a half at most. Really easy for students to get out to. And there's so much, the restaurants and shopping, a couple really neat museums, a lot of fun stuff happening in the city of Beverly. And of course, we're not just limited to the city of Beverly. The train line, of course, will take students around and kind of spans the whole breadth and width of the North Shore where we're located. For example, if you take that train a little bit north of campus, you will find yourself in Gloucester. Gloucester is America's oldest seaport, a lot of whale watching, deep sea fishing. It's where the perfect storm happened, too, for any movie fans. If you take that train south of campus, actually our closest neighbor is Salem. That is the Salem, Massachusetts, right? I mean, no better spot to be in October, and certainly as you get closer to Halloween. A lot of fun things happening in Salem any day of the year, though. I mean, again, more fine dining. It has a fantastic harbor and some waterfront, some really cool stuff to see. But I will admit the big one for most students is definitely Boston. Geographically, it's about 20 miles south of campus. I should say we're about 20 miles north of Boston. Very easy to get to by train. It's about a half-hour train ride, so really easy to navigate that, and you kind of avoid Boston's notoriously difficult traffic. Really simplifies that process for students to zip in and out. A lot to see, and certainly things that I hope you get a chance to see yourself soon. I feel when I describe it, I don't do these sites and the location justice. So hopefully you get a chance when things are safe and clear and everyone has some time to come up and see us soon. a nice little kind of welcome to the surrounding area. But of course, there's a lot more to see. Um, I think most people, when talking about and kind of describing Endicott, would really look to us and think of a small, traditional New England liberal arts institution. When I say small, you can see the undergraduate size up there. We're just below 3,000 for that undergraduate population. Let's do some really neat things too. For example, class size, average class being just about 16 and a half. That fantastic 12-to-1 faculty and staff to student ratio. The resources are on the student. You know, you're never going to find yourself in that environment where you don't know who your professor is and you're lost in a sea of 300 people in that lecture hall. That environment just doesn't exist for us. Really, the tight-knit, intimate learning environment is something that's so important for us on campus. Keeping things small, but still growing in some pretty exciting ways. Couple new majors, new academic center. Phase 2 is under construction there. Actually expected to be completed this December, which is particularly exciting to see how that has come together. Always new study abroad location. So a lot of growth happening for this undergraduate population, but still keeping it in that smaller academic classroom size. That being said, did I lose my slide? There we go. On the topic of academics, really 3 big areas that we'll talk about today. And these are really what are defining Endicott's academic model. Of course, the first is the liberal arts core. The second is your major. And then the third is internship. And we'll kind of jump into all 3 of those. The liberal arts core is pretty self-explanatory for the most part. Endicott's a liberal arts school. So of course at our core, we have the liberal arts. But really what this is going to build are your general education requirements. Those things that regardless of what your major is, all students are going to take part in at some point over their 4 years. And you can kind of get a sense of what those may look like. World cultures, science and technology, the individual and society, to kind of name a few. But great ways that we're creating that well-rounded and truly holistic student. Not just someone who spends all their time and thrives within their major, but has a great sense and appreciation of the world around them. So, and of course, outside of that general education core, what all students are going to take exists the major. I love this slide. It's a lot of information. And what you're looking at are all programs within the 8 major schools, as well as a mod to some of the 5th year and master's programs. So those of you who already know that you're excited to kind of pursue some more education down the road a little bit. I love this slide because for those of you who automatically know what you'd like to study, you've had that major in mind for years, it's nice to see it up here. If you were someone who you're saying, I'm not sure just yet, but I know I want it to be in business, communication, you know, whatever it may be, and you start to see what those offerings are and what those kind of opportunities may be. Also, if you are someone who is on the more undeclared, undecided side, you've probably read through this list and checked it twice, and you're realizing there's no one declared or undecided up here. What do I do? What's the pathway for me? For most students, I would recommend liberal studies if you find yourself in that more undeclared category. Liberal studies, you'll find it under the School of Arts and Sciences. It's a fantastic program in its own sense. If you are someone who wants to pursue liberal studies, go for it. It's what it's there for, and it's excellent. It's also very flexible. So if you are someone who finds himself saying, I really just don't know yet, I always encourage liberal studies because it gives you a lot of freedom to navigate a couple different courses and programs while keeping on track with those liberal arts core classes. That being said, we do encourage students to have some sense of a major when they begin with us. And really the big part of that is because of our upside down curriculum. All that really means is that you're going to start classes within your first semester in your first year within your major. You're going to get to jump right into it and absolutely start to realize pretty quickly, and am I enjoying this or not? But to dive right into that major for someone who is truly passionate and then get to start learning. And for someone who maybe is not, to realize a little sooner on. So I think always a great way to kind of start learning, is this a pathway for me, is to jump right in. A little bit about the majors there, like I said. But the big one really, really is the internship program. this is something that Endicott's pretty much been doing since day one. Been doing for a long time now. And certainly I won't say something that is exclusive. Certainly not the only ones doing internship, but we're doing it in a pretty unique way. I love to start with the outcomes, the kind of why, right? And what it, is this working for students? And the numbers speak for themselves. To see nearly 100% of students employed full-time within 6 months of graduating, it's nothing short of incredible. But then those students are not just getting a job, 90% related to their major. They're getting the job, the one you've spent so hard 4 years, working towards. It's what it's all about. And then to know that nearly a third of students, that job is coming from one of your internship sites, somewhere that you've built a network for, yourself. The relationships that you're building are very real. So really exciting to see them come together for students. All that being said, of course, you need to put the work in to make it happen. So the way that the model is designed, all students will complete 3 internships over their 4 years. First of which is typically over a student's winter break right after their first semester. Deliberately, break is very long, so you have plenty of time to, it's your break, right? You want to do nothing for a little bit, but certainly plenty of time to see friends and family and celebrate the holidays and just to kind of to recharge the batteries. Typically, this internship is local to home as well. Then, of course, at that internship really is when students learn pretty quickly, wow, I absolutely love what I'm studying. And I'm so passionate and so fortunate to have gotten to explore it. Or maybe you're saying, this is not for me, and I think I need to change my major. That's okay. It's almost deliberate. Part of this first internship is to help students realize, is this the fit for me or not? Better to have that moment after your first couple months of school than after 3 years. So very, very much an important part of the process there. Notice second internship, typically winter break of a student's sophomore year. If you loved what you're doing, stick with it and keep doing so. If you were someone who said, maybe just not quite for me, now's your chance to try something new. You'll notice no junior year internship. That's usually when students will study abroad. And then senior year is the big one, where typically you're spending your entire first semester on campus at that internship site. And of course, so the big list we're looking at right now, the top 10 internships within the 8 major schools. And really, as you read through this list, you are going to see a lot that are Boston, a lot that are, Cape Ann and North Shore and Beverly, are more local and immediate area for 2 big reasons. I think the first really is the sites themselves. They're incredible. And as you read through these, the breadth and width and absolutely the caliber of these internship sites, second to none across the board. And really to know that nearly 30% of students there, this isn't just going to be something where we're adding to a resume. It's going to turn into that full-time job is really spectacular. Of course, the other big reason where we're seeing so much energy in the Boston area, students are still able to live on campus. You're still able to be there and to still be involved with all the clubs that you've been and to have that on-campus job and to play that sport. Everything that's been important to you for 3 years up to this point, you're still very much able to do as you take part in that senior year internship. It's incredible. And students really have some fantastic experiences there. It's a lot to take in, absolutely. And I think really this is kind of a nice catch-all. I've been talking about internship for a little bit, but to see some of the fantastic accolades and awards that have started to come through in recent years. Top 5 in Massachusetts was a really big one, especially knowing Boston being the college capital of the country, right? With so many schools there. So knowing that competition was really exciting. But number 2 from the Wall Street Journal for that, career readiness and preparation through internship, really just some fantastic things happening for students through internship. I'm going to take a quick pause and leave this up because there's a little bit of reading there. Take a quick sip of water, and then we're going to transition more to student life as our next kind of big topic. All right, awesome. I will admit, I absolutely love talking about student life. It's the business of fun, right? All these great things that students are able to take part in during their time. And of course, right off the bat, one of the big ones, really important to know, Endicott is an incredibly residential school. Seeing that 91% of students choosing to live on campus for all 4 years, worth noting that housing is guaranteed 100% for all 4 years, but that remaining percent really is the more traditional commuter student, someone who's going to make that trip day in and day out to campus. And of course, almost the more important number, we're seeing a little higher, maybe close to 93% or so of students sweeping into the dining hall on weekends. And it may sound silly, but it tells us two incredibly important things. The first is that students are in the dining hall and the food's good. It's fantastic. They do a great job there. But number two, and arguably the more important, students are present on weekends. And there's so many reasons for it. And in our location, absolutely. I mean, 3 private beaches is usually a pretty big one. The North Shore is always buzzing with activity. The closeness to Boston, absolutely. But then largely in part due to this list. The big list of clubs and orgs, and you're going to see it written a lot as more than 50, 50 plus, 50 and growing, because this is hardly a standing list. Really runs the gambit in so many different areas. And constantly growing. And if, for students who read through this list and find that something that's important to me and who I am isn't represented up here, make it happen. And then truly you're able to do so. This list covers a lot of personal interests, certainly. Some that are more service-oriented, performing arts, a lot that are academic in nature. But I think a great mix to show truly is what's going on campus. So easy to get active and involved in, and a lot of fun. I cannot recommend highly enough, finding a couple clubs and orgs that really, speak to you. A big area as far as, of course, student life, visual and performing arts, something I'm going to do my best to speak to and describe for everyone. I think in order to fully understand Endicott's appreciation for this area, you almost need to just spend a little time on campus and then to be in the building, to feel it. The Visual and Performing Arts Center, it's alive, quite frankly, with the student art pieces that are coming and going. There's always rehearsals for dance, music, instruments being played, voices, singing. It's a breathing building. And I think that in itself is a testament to Endicott's truly our appreciation to the visual and performing arts. But of course, this list and what you're looking at really does represent some of the more extracurricular capacities there. And I think some important takeaways and things to know, that certainly while experience is always preferred, certainly not required. If you're someone who has been waiting your entire life to get involved in one of these areas, you're very much able to. Certainly don't need to have that background. And also don't require an academic component. There are some minors in dance, theater, and music. But if you are someone who just has the passion, you can absolutely pursue it without needing to pick up that minor or get involved in those classes. And of course, I always like to give a plug if you're someone like myself who doesn't really have these gifts and these talents. A lot of fun being an audience member as well. But certainly, if you have the interest, pursue it 100%. Another big area as far as student life goes is, of course, athletics. 21 varsity teams, all Division III, competing in the Commonwealth Coast Conference, of which the Gulls are doing incredibly well. You can see, 54 conference championships in the last 10 years. Last year alone, we saw 9 conference championships, 6 NCAA appearances, and our second national championship. The Gulls are just doing incredible things at home and away, which absolutely is a big contributor as to why we're seeing so much energy around these programs on game day. Tremendous turnouts and support from students, certainly a great sense of pride, but from faculty, staff, the entire community is coming together around these teams. And of course, I think one of the other big reasons that we're seeing this energy, facilities are here. They are literally on campus. A home game is truly home, which I think is a great contributor to the turnout and the support we're seeing for athletics. I always love to give a plug to intramurals as well. Especially, it's a great way to stay in shape, to keep doing a sport you love, to make new friends, and they are highly, highly competitive. Really seeing that great level of competition but a little less of a time commitment, I'll say, than the varsity and club level sports, but a lot of fun around athletics, truly. Um, and then the last piece of that kind of more traditional student life is a little different than the rest, and of course you can all see it. I'm talking about study abroad, something that's rapidly becoming more and more popular with our undergraduate population. Close to 40% will at some point over their 4 years study abroad. Personally, the reason we kind of talk about all the time, the highlights and what makes it so exciting. My go-to always, and I think it is such a testament to the program, study abroad at Endicott is incredibly flexible. For example, timing. Typically, like I said, students will choose to study abroad in their junior year, but maybe that is your first semester or your second. Maybe this is something you're doing for an entire year or over a spring break or winter break, really able to find the time and duration that works best for you on your schedule. Flexible around location. Absolutely. You can see 28 worldwide with some of the heavy hitters listed there. Our most popular site is typically Italy, which never really any surprises there when I share that with students. A sibling program right in Spain at the College of International Studies. You can find that right in Madrid. And our newest site is in Ireland at the Cork Institute of Technology. That being said, I mean, Argentina, Brazil, Chile, China, Costa Rica, India, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, right? I mean, truly everywhere that students are able to get into and explore. And then the last way, I know I'm kind of using flexible as my word here. All majors are able to head to any location, and certainly all majors are able to study abroad. And certainly what you choose to study during that time really is, up to you. Some programs line up really well with these international trips. For anyone thinking of hospitality, for example, an incredible program in Switzerland. Maybe you've just been taking Spanish the last 4 years. So you're saying, you know what? I want to go to Spain and speak Spanish. Go for it. That's what these trips are about, to see the world, to celebrate different cultures. And then most students will use this time for free electives, for core classes, things of that nature. And then, of course, some things we're doing on our end to help students. Certainly all your classes your credits will travel with you. Anything you earn overseas is going to come back. You're not going to be behind in any way or missing anything. And certainly financial aid will travel over with students. Just because you're not here doesn't mean that you're forfeiting anything or taking on some massive study abroad fees. Really doing everything we can to make these trips as easy and accessible for students. It's a trip of a lifetime, right? And if you are someone who wants to pursue it, we want to help make that happen. So that's my big, and it's a lot and hardly exhaustive, big kind of talk on the more student life side of things, and something I can absolutely speak to and will at length if given the opportunity. But I always recommend that visit to campus, and certainly to utilize the social media. The social media accounts that Endicott has really is a great way to kind of get a sense of the campus community and just what's going on with students. But we're going to turn the page one last time to the final kind of big topic of the night, and that is, of course, the admission process and financial aid. So really the big way and one of the first things that I think most students will realize as they look at the Endicott application, we are not on the Common App. Endicott does have its own application. You can find it right in our website, and I typically describe it to students as being very biographical. A lot of name, address, email, birthday, things like that are pretty quick to fill out. One of the other things that comes up a lot, we are a test optional institution. In the past, I mean, it's been for 99% of programs. This year, 100% of programs will be test optional. Absolutely trying to help students as best we can. I know so many SAT and ACT dates have been canceled and postponed and rescheduled, and it's difficult time to take those tests. A question I get a lot is especially for someone who has taken a test, is here's my score, what should I do? And of course I can never answer that for you, but I think this class profile is really a helpful kind of tool to get a sense of that. Of course, the average SAT, you can see there being about that 1170, though most students who chose to submit their scores fell between that 1100 and a 1220. That being said, if you take the score, the test, and it doesn't reflect your ability, if you take it and the test is a little below that 1100, if you don't even get to take the SAT at all and you don't even have scores, none of these things are going to hurt your application. And you're going to hear me say it again in a minute. You can absolutely still receive the top merit scholarship as well without submitting these SAT scores. It will not hurt your application or anything related to it in any way. Truly is optional. Quite frankly, the number we're really looking at a little more intently is GPA. You can see that average is about a 3.4, and that's when we do our own recalculation. To get that, we're going to look at a student's transcript, everything from first year all the way through the end of junior. And of course, looking at the honors, AP, dual enrollment, IB, all the rigor that is going into your respective programs. Other pieces we require from students, of course, a letter of recommendation. Only one is required. Most students typically are sending 2 or 3, though. And then, of course, the essay. Essay you can find right on our website. It is our own essay, but as you read it, I think you'll find it's pretty flexible and may even line up with another essay that you find yourself writing as you go through the college process. Some optional pieces I'd love to recommend for students, resumes and interviews. Truly, just 2 great ways to share your story, for us to see who you are, and to put a face to a name. Really just some fantastic ways to kind of connect with the office and to build that in a more personal way. The last piece of the application, you'll notice if you're kind of following along here, first quarter grades, and I do save them for the end because how we use them really depends on when a student is choosing to apply. So for example, we're looking at kind of this admission decision plan right now and all the different application dates and timelines. For anyone who finds himself applying to either early decision or early action, which is November 1st, we will not be using your first quarter grades as part of our application review. We'll still see them eventually, of course, but we just won't have them as part of that initial review. The grades just aren't out yet. They're quite literally not available for us to review. We will review them for anyone looking at that regular decision timeline. And I mean, nursing priority as well, spring semester, really anything that's after that early action, early decision. We'll of course still be looking at those first quarter grades, and they have a lot of value to us. They show that you're still working hard in senior year. And certainly if you're someone who maybe didn't have the best first year, well, your sophomore year is better, and then junior year even better, and we can see senior years is the best yet, that upward progression. Absolutely some value to it there. I will mention the nursing priority deadline, especially, of course, it's specific to those students of nursing interest. Last year alone, we saw close to 1,000 applications for about 120 seats in the School of Nursing. So absolutely a competitive program. And we're encouraging all of our nursing applicants to apply either early decision, early action, or to that nursing priority, in the hope that we'll capture all of them and be able to make some informed decisions about our incoming nursing cohort with all applications together. Of course, you can still apply later, but at that point, we may find ourselves, that's when the program starts to reach capacity. I always feel bad if that happened to a student. But of course, once everything is in and here, I'm going to read this in a pretty timely fashion and get it back to everybody. And that's when financial aid starts to enter the equation. So of course, you can see the number there, that all-in cost of admission being just about $51,000. And then we're going to talk about some of the ways that we like to bring that down for students. The first and really the big way is, of course, merit scholarship. At Endicott, for a student to qualify for that merit scholarship, all we need to see is a 3.0 GPA. That is it. I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't need those test scores. I don't need an extra essay or documents. It truly is the GPA that starts that conversation. And of course, you can see that number right now is ranging from about 5 to 16,000. So what's going to build that number? What's going to bring a 5 closer to a 16,000? Of course, the strength of that GPA, absolutely a big player. But then it's the other. It's what I like to call resume items, clubs and orgs, jobs, sports, community service, all the you and the character building you've been working on for so much time up to this point. Absolutely will be factored into that number. And then, of course, the other piece is the FAFSA. FAFSA being the free application for federal student aid, very common financial aid document. But that FAFSA is what we're going to be working on as far as the need-based side for students goes. All right. That last bit was a lot of numbers and dates and times and moving pieces. But truly, that's it from me. I appreciate everyone's time this evening. I know, like I said, I like to keep these pretty punctual and timely, especially to leave time for questions. But I absolutely want to take a quick second just to plug. You'll see all of my contact up there. Absolutely. As that kind of point person working with our Pennsylvania students, please don't hesitate to send an email, certainly to call. You'll see the social media up there as well. Like I said, I always encourage, if you can, try to connect with campus. But the college process can be difficult at times, and we're in a particularly difficult time. So absolutely, no such thing as a silly question. Please don't hesitate to reach out. And I appreciate your time this evening or whenever you're tuning in with us, everyone. Thanks so much. And let's see, I'm not sure. I don't know if I saw any questions come through just yet. Let's see. I think I'm going to pull down the screen share, leave it for a couple more seconds. Awesome. And I'll check that chat real quick. And I don't think I'm seeing anything. And I think, Liz, you might be able to correct me otherwise. I think it might just be you and I. So then I think in that case, I will wrap things up and kind of turn them over to you.
Yes, thanks so much, Joe. It was great to hear your presentation about Endicott College.
Thank you.
And for everyone who is joining live tonight, there's a quick 4-question survey for you to complete. And if you would like to view a recording of this session, you can do so at our website, at PACAC's website. And you can also sign up for additional sessions through November 6th. Our website is www.pacac.org/virtual. Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. It was a pleasure.
Okay, bye-bye.
You as well.